When our process is taking in a CSV list of leads and we're iterating through each of those leads to validate them, how can we verify what is happening to each row in that CSV file? This is where we're going to want to take advantage of the logs service. The log service can be found by going to your navigation bar on the left side of your screen, and under Tools, we are going to search for logs. With the log service, I can access data as it's going through our process, even if the job isn't complete yet. And I'll show you how we can put this into practice. Before making use of logging, let's test our recipe and see what comes up in the jobs. And here in this test, we can see if we have how many items we have added to our list. We have 5 qualified leads. There were 10 leads to start with, so our filter does seem to be working. However, I'm not able to check which items were filtered out and which ones were not. The report here is only going to show me the last value that would have gone through. And I can see that the records were successfully uploaded to Salesforce. However, this job report is not going to tell me which specific email addresses were filtered out. In order to check those, I'm going to need to make use of the logging service. So let's exit here and edit our recipe now. And we're going to add a step. After my search for my email domains on the lookup table here, I am going to check for an action in app. And this time I'm going to search for Logger by Workato. And here I can make a custom message that will go to my logs page that will tell me which email address went through this validation process. So I'll start in my data tree by going to my for each loop and selecting email, because I do want to see the email that resulted. So let me add some labels here to make this more readable in my logs report. Also want to check how many matches existed. So number of matches. And for that, I can find that as the output from my search entries lookup table and find the list size. I also can go to properties to indicate my recipe name and my recipe URL for easy access here. And there's a variety of other information I could customize in here too, but this should be good for our logs report. The last thing I want to make sure I do is toggle on the setting Send to Workato Log Service. And I can decide what type of log I want to make. Is this an informational log? Is it a warning? Am I reporting an error? In this case, I'm not always going to be reporting errors. I just want to double check to make sure that my filters are working as I want them to. So this will be an informational log. So with that, I can save my recipe, go back to my existing test job, and repeat the job. Now that this has been repeated, I'm going to exit and check out my logs. Going back to my tools here and opening up my logs page. And we have a lot of information here. Something to keep in mind with the logs report is it's going to show us logs not just from this recipe, but from all the recipes in this workspace that are using the log service. So what we'll want to do is apply some filters. For example, apply filters to only show items that were made in the last hour. That could be really helpful. We could also filter by the specific recipe ID if we wanted to. There's a variety of different ways we can use this to narrow down specifically what we're looking for. Fortunately, the only logs that have been made in the last hour are from this particular recipe, so that makes things easy for us. Let's take a look at some of these logs and see if they are giving us anything helpful. So we can see that this is a corporate email. There are no matches. That's good. I do see that this one used a Gmail address, and we do have one match in the list. So it does look like people that are using free email domains are being caught by our filter. That's really good to see. And the log service gave us that peace of mind.